Hi, how you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Very well.
How am I doing after watching your four-part series? Wow.
Oh, great. You were able to watch it.
Today I have executive producer director Daniel Bogado, if I'm saying that correctly, and the producer director James Paris about the new four-part series, National Geographic Tsunami Race Against Time. They asked me what I thought about it and how I was feeling. You're probably going to hear the same thing from the audience. That was truly amazing. I couldn't take my eyes off. It's very emotional, very devastating. Daniel, how did you get involved in this? Who pushed who to do this?
Well, a few years ago, for the 20th anniversary of 9/11, I worked in a series called 9/11 One Day in America. And the approach of that series was, let's just tell the story of that day with video archive of that day and speak only to survivors, nobody else. And it was a very successful series. It was very well received. And at the time, I thought, this approach could also work with the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami. But the difference would be that we would be speaking to people from so many countries, so many different backgrounds, all united by their experience surviving this huge cataclysmic event. So I thought that would be a fascinating thing to do. And so that's what we set to do.
James, how did you get involved?
In fact, I had been working with Danny on a previous project, and so he brought me along. But like him, I was obsessed with his previous series, One Day in America, because of the intensity of the emotional connection that he managed to get from many of the contributors, and I wanted to see what we could do in this case to replicate that sense of emotional storytelling, of intimacy with an audience, and to hear voices that we might not have heard before, unheard stories. And people from across the world who wouldn't naturally participate in a documentary made by an American broadcaster.
Daniel, I'm watching this, but you and James were out filming this and getting firsthand experience. What kind of emotions were you going through? And then James, I want to ask you the same thing.
Well, I mean, usually very, very extreme emotions. These are incredibly powerful stories. They're incredibly emotional. Some of them very tragic endings, some of them miraculous endings. And the way you do the interview is you sit down with a person and they tell you the story. It looks like they're looking directly at the camera. We use this device called the eye direct. In reality, they're looking directly at you. And so when they're crying, you're looking at them directly, and it's impossible not to also get emotional. But in a way, if you're getting emotional, you're capturing the story correctly, and you know that the a series about the tsunami, which is true to what happened, would have to be very, very emotional. And so, in a way, when you're experiencing all those emotions, you're thinking, well, we are on the right track.
James, let me ask you this real quick. Because of what happened in 2004, and with technology today and geospatial industry today, are there tsunami warnings today?
Yeah, we're much better prepared in theory, in principle, than we were in 2004. The technology is more advanced. There are now tsunami warning systems in place in ocean basins where there were not systems previously. That said, I think the thing that most people could do to protect themselves is not to rely on the technology, but simply to understand what a tsunami is. And if you watch this series, you'll understand a great deal about what a tsunami is, as well as a great deal, I hope, about what it's like to go through it.
Believe me, I did, and I know the audience will too. I've been speaking with producer director Daniel Bogata and producer director James Paris. Guys, you really hit home with this. National Geo's Tsunami Race Against Time. Thank you again for joining us on Morning Blend.
Thanks
Thank
for
you for
having me.
having us.